Hey, it's Skip, and today I'm going to teach you how to play Grand Prix UNO. In Grand Prix UNO, the round does not end as soon as a player empties their hand. Instead, players are going to work their way down in hand size from 7 to 1. And the first person to empty their hand that began with one card wins the Grand Prix. Let's dive in and see what that looks like. All you need to play Grand Prix UNO is a deck of UNO cards and enough chips or tokens for each player to start with 7. Setup for the game is pretty much the same as standard UNO. You're going to give each player 7 cards to begin. The difference is each player will also receive 7 chips. Now this isn't required, but I think it helps players keep track of which level they're on. The Grand Prix begins with the player seated left of the dealer. We'll have our player here at the bottom of the screen begin. All the rules are followed. You will match the pile with the color, the action, or the number. So we have a yellow 0. This player only has yellow cards. They don't have any zeros or wilds. So they're going to go ahead and play their draw 2. Play passes left for now until it's reversed. The next player must draw 2. If you're playing with the stacking rule, the player could play a draw 2 on top of that. Or if you even play with an escalating stack, you could throw a draw 4 on top of that. And play like that will continue. Now where the rules change is at the end when a player empties their hand. The round won't end, it will continue. Let's see what that looks like. All right, we fast forwarded to the point where our player at the bottom of the screen has an UNO. Don't forget to say UNO. There's still a penalty if you do and someone catches you. Now this player is going to go out. Say they play their final card. Now instead of the round ending, this player will discard a chip. That leaves them down to 6. And they are going to draw a 6-card hand from the draw pile. 5 and 6. Okay, so now they are on lap number 2 with a 6-card hand. And play will continue. So if it was going, let's say it was going to the left, the next player goes like normal. Every time a player plays their final card, they discard a chip and then they draw up to a hand size that is 1 card smaller. Now let's go ahead and fast forward to the final lap of the Grand Prix. Okay, when a player has gotten all the way down to a single chip and they are starting their final lap with a single card in their hand, they are in the position to win. Now, of course, as the game continues, more than one player could be in this position. It is a race. Well, we're going to say that it is their turn again. It's a green 4. They have a red 4, so they win. They emptied their hand, and they win the Grand Prix. And just to clarify, even though a player's hand begins 1 card smaller each lap, it is possible for their hand to grow beyond that size. They're not penalized by regaining chips. So let's just say this player is on the final lap and the player before them threw down a draw 2. Well, they got a draw 2, so they're getting skipped this turn. They don't get to go. And you see now they have 3 cards in their hand. Well, they're still on the final lap. They began with a single card. They do not have to add 2 more cards to their hand, or 2 more chips. They just simply continue their final lap, and then if they manage to play out their hand and empty it, then they're going to win the Grand Prix. Now, in the meantime, other players could be emptying their hand and getting rid of their chips, and they might take the lead as well and win. It's possible. And that's one of the cool things. There's a lot of ebb and flow in gameplay, and there's a lot of building tension as more players reach that final lap and that starting hand of 1 card. And that's how to play Grand Prix UNO. I think this format's really cool, especially with a group of about 3 or 4. I like how the diminishing hand sizes kind of extends the length of the game, but allows for a growing tension as you approach that single card starting hand. I think it also allows for a lot more ebbs and flows during the game. Sure, you're going to be going through that draw pile a lot more, shuffling the discard pile and starting over, but that all sort of builds into the excitement of players getting to that single card starting hand and then emptying it before anybody else. And it's got a bit of a racing feel, which I think is pretty fun. Of course, you can play with any house rules that you normally play with. Just keep in mind that some of the rules do extend the length of games, and You might not want to do that with this particular format because it's already going to be a longer game. So things like stacking or forcing a player to draw until they get the card they need to be able to play, you might not want to play with those rules in this particular format. Well, that's all I have for you today. Thank you so much for watching. Until next time, keep on playing.